afternoon. I just turned, in the last week and a half, another year. 68 now. If anybody has an excuse to put their feet up, I'm one of them. There's a lot of other people, too, that have an excuse to put their feet up. I get it. But a lot of people in retirement, they want to go out and they play golf, and they want to go out and they play pickleball. Maybe they do. Maybe they spend time in the ER because they played pickleball. Not sure. I don't play pickleball. I'd like to try sometime. But to stay right on topic, right on the front end, is there a sin to just being chill? The sin of idleness, the sin of, we're older. Not completely old, but we're older. Are we supposed to just lay back and say, my time is done? Now, I know pastors that as soon as they turn 62 or 63, and they're done. They're done. They move on into retirement, and they may never preach again. They may never speak again, or hold a Bible study again. Yeah. But then again, a lot of them do. A lot of them do continue to hate to say it this way, but share their craft. More accurately would be share what's on their heart, because I don't think the heart never gets fully purged of everything that's on it that they want to share with the world, especially when it comes to the beliefs and to Christianity. I did a quick search. I do this at the start of every live every week, is I check the lag time. And the lag time is a difference between me pushing the word go live, the go live button, and it goes live, and then how long it takes it to get out to everybody else, because I have a confidence monitor down here. And so this is behind me by 25 seconds. The lag is 25 seconds today. It usually is around 15 to 17 seconds. For some reason, I got more lag today. It's 25-second lag. So I'm 25 seconds into your future. Yeah, I have no idea what the horse races are going to do. I don't follow them, so I can't give you any tips that quickly. It's only 25 seconds. Anyway, I did do a search of in the Bible, people later in life jumping in and continuing to do what God would have them do. And some of them, it was a calling later in life. They weren't even doing anything beyond themselves except just probably living to honor God as best they can. And then God calls them to do something, even though they're old, like Noah. He began fathering sons at 500, the age of 500. And then after that, spent a year building a big boat and, built the ark after in his 600th year, and preached righteousness for the whole time he was doing it. Now, there's Abraham. He was 75 years old when God said, hey, you need to leave this place. Get up and go to a place I'm going to show you. Fine, I'll pack up. He's following the call of the Lord. His wife Sarah bore Isaac at 90. 90! Oh my goodness. Goodiness. Oh my goodness. 90. Moses was 80 years old when he looked at a burning bush and was called to confront Pharaoh. Aaron was 83 when he became Moses' spokesman. Two old guys sitting in the coffee shop, and God says, hey, I want you to go over here and face the Pharaoh. And they would rather sit in the coffee shop. Let's be honest. Wouldn't you rather just sit in the coffee shop and hang around with some old friends and shoot the breeze and just hang out for a while, and that'd be the end of it? But no, they were called and they answered the call. But here's the thing. It's one thing for God to put it upon a person's heart to do something. It's another thing for them to heed that call and do it. There has to be action on their part. God can have something for him to do, but he's not going to drag them kicking and screaming away from their coffee shop to go do something. Not going to do it. Joshua was already very old when he, became the leader of Israel and took them into the Canaan land. and kept leading them on into old age. Samuel was anointed king when he was old. Naomi was an old widow whose second act, so to speak, through Ruth, placed her in the line of David and ultimately the Messiah. That became rather important. Daniel served under successful empires and became quite old, and all of a sudden he's in a lion's den, and of course we know that story, one of the greatest stories. He was in his 80s, they say. Now, in the New Testament, we look at Zechariah. He was an old priest, long past childbearing years with Elizabeth, but he was called to father John the Baptist, and Elizabeth was also very old, and she conceived John the Baptist, the forerunner of Christ. So, yeah, Simeon, an old man in a temple, again, just hanging out, but he was promised that he would see the Messiah before death, and that's probably why he hung out in the temple an awful lot. I mean, there's a whole lot of stories in the Bible, so many more, that just talk about the idea of not laying back. Now, is it a sin to retire and just chill? No, it's not. No, it's not. But it is, I believe, if you're going to ignore what God has put on your heart and on your mind and just dismiss it and say, I'm too busy doing nothing to do something. Did that roll off right? Kind of. I'm too busy doing nothing to do something. Because some people, they just tired. And I get it. They're tired. And they feel like they've earned the rest. And I get it. But then there's these people that just keep going. I think of Dan Miller, may he rest in peace, a true mentor of mine. I followed him. I was in his membership. He's a founder of 48 Days, 48 Days to Work You Love, 48 Days to Work in Life You Love. He was in his mid-70s, and there was no stopping him until what happened. And he is missed by thousands of people, I'm sure. But he's a person that started and never stopped. He never saw success until he was in his, I couldn't say for sure. I want to say his late 40s, early 50s. I couldn't say for sure. But he was one that just didn't give up. But then if you go back and look at some business people, some entrepreneurs like Colonel Harlan Sanders, who the first Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise was pitched. It was he was 62 and he sold it when he was 74. And so here's a guy who just, okay, I'm creating this empire. Ray Kroc was 52 when he opened his first McDonald's. I saw the movie about McDonald's and Ray Kroc, and it didn't suit him in a very good light. But what he did, but he was 52 before he really got his feet under him. So, yeah, there was Taiki Kiromori. I trust that I'm saying that right. Probably not. Japanese economist. Economics professor. I'm sorry. He quit his professorship at 55 and became a real estate developer. And by his death, I mean, he started being a real estate developer at age 55. And when he died, he was the richest man in the world with $3 billion at the time. People making tremendous success out of later in life. Julia Childs wrote her first book at age 50. That's where she got started. I love Laura Ingalls Wilder because I find this, she published her first book, Little House on the Prairie, at the age of 65. And she never started writing until she was 60. Now, I look at that and I'm thinking, Your Name Here started their first YouTube channel at age 65 and went on and on and on. And great things happened and many lives were touched and lives were changed because they started a YouTube channel in age 60. Frank McCourt, that's not a name that rolls off your tongue, but his first book, Angela's Ashes, he wrote and was published at the age of 66. Angela's Ashes. And you're thinking, so what? Well, if you follow Pulitzer Prize winners, he's one of them. for his first book that he started to write in his 60s, at age 66. Larry Bernstein started his first novel at 93, and within 3 years became famous. Okay. And then he wrote three more books after that. He started at 96. Well, actually, started at 93. I mean, it just keeps going on and on. Like Bram Stoker wrote Dracula at age 50. And it took a while for that even to become famous. Now, when you go on into the entertainment and the actors world, maybe you can, I'm sure we know some of these people, like Morgan Freeman didn't achieve any kind of fame until he was in his 50s. Despite decades of earlier work, they just never caught on. His acting career was near a flat line until his mid-50s, and then it started to take off. Betty White joined the Mary Tyler Moore Show in 1973 at the age of 51. And then became one of the most award-winning comedic actresses in history. But she got her first good start at 51. Judge Judy, my father-in-law loves to watch Judge Judy, more just to laugh at her. Not at her, but laugh with her. Whatever, you get it. Very entertaining. But she worked in family court for years, and her show premiered in 1996 when her first show was when she was 54 years old. I mean, this story can just go on and on. Anna Marie Robertson began painting in her mid-70s after arthritis made embroidery too hard, too difficult for her. So she stopped doing mittens for kittens, and she started painting. And she became one of America's most celebrated folk artists. Grandma Moses was her name at that stage. But there's just so many different things that you can go through. And I'm saying all of that to say this, because at my age, I could put my feet up and say I'm done. But on the other side, I'm saying I'm just getting started. I want to help people start now, share what they know, and help others. If I can help you help others, that's just me magnifying my willingness to help over and over and over again out. And you need to look at that the same way yourself. What you may start by starting a channel on YouTube may be doing exactly that. It's just starting, and a person gets help, and another person gets help, and another person gets help, and it may go on from there. The one thing that you may share with somebody that really, really clicks in their head, they may share with 10 other people. Your message, your thought that perhaps God has given you to share, went to one person and slowly spread and spread and spread because you weren't afraid to share it. And I'm finding that one of the best ways to share it, to share what God has given you, or to share your talent, share your abilities, to share your decades of knowledge, is with a YouTube channel. And that's kind of why I do this every week. Now, sooner or later, people are going to start joining me on these lives. Right now, I'm the only one watching on my monitor. And I'm okay with that, because the message is going to eventually go out and continue and continue and continue. YouTube is the idea of building a library. And you start with one. Every library starts with one book, and then another, and then another. So part of what I'm doing is building a library, one video at a time, one live stream at a time, and you can do the same thing. It's not about changing the world in 3 weeks with 2 videos. If you do, that's fantastic, but probably you won't. Probably you won't. And that's okay. If you're going to start a YouTube channel, there's a couple things you do need to know. One, it's not that hard. It really isn't. And another thing is you may never make a penny on YouTube, but that's not the point. If you jump into YouTube saying, I want to get monetized and make a ton of money, that's great. But that's not the point of having a YouTube channel. The point of having a YouTube channel, in my opinion, is to help other people solve a problem. As you know, and as you've done, I know you've done this, and I've done it too. How do I do this? Look it up on YouTube. Look it up on YouTube. Find it. Oh, okay, I get it, but I didn't quite understand it. So you go to another person that teaches the same thing, and a third person that teaches the same thing, and a fourth person that teaches the same thing, and all of a sudden, oh, okay, that angle I understood. And then you're able to do the thing where they've solved the problem for you. And that's the whole idea. You're building a library, one video at a time. And when people start reading from one author, they tend to go back to that one author because they like how the read goes. You know, it's like watching a TV series. You watch the pilot of a brand new TV series, and you like it or you don't. But if you like it, you're going to watch, the next week. Now, back when I was growing up, we had to wait 5 years for reruns. And we had to wait for the summer because that's the only time they played reruns. So what I watched on January the 2nd might not come back on until the middle of July, just so I could see it again. But nowadays, live streaming, they dump out an entire series, an entire season all at once. And you can sit there in a weekend and you can binge watch 10, 12, 14 episodes. I watched Game of Thrones from episode 1 till the very end. And I did it in a relatively short period of time. I was watching approximately 12 hours of Game of Thrones a day. And you're saying, you're an idiot. Some people would say I'm an idiot for even watching it, but it's a great storyline with plots and subplots and all these other kind of other things. Yes, the language is bad, and sometimes the subject matter was even worse. And sometimes you just have to turn your head and get through a scene. And I did that more than once in Game of Thrones because there's something that I just didn't want floating around in my brain. But nevertheless, I watched the entire thing because of the storyline and how it was done. And it was done very, very, very well, arguably to the last part of the last season. But again, that's a subjective opinion on how it all ended. I digress just a little bit, but the reason I watched the whole thing was because I just had shoulder surgery, and they dropped me in this chair. I had to rent the chair, and it sat here in my office with a TV on the wall. And I was in the chair for an hour and a half, 6 times a day. And it was my right arm. I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't do anything with my arm for 6 weeks. But I was in the chair where it was just slowly moving it up and down for 45 minutes, and then I'd press a button and go on to the different program, and it would go like this. And all I could do was do this and watch TV. And so I did. And that's how I watched Game of Thrones, because it was all streamed. So we're talking about you and your YouTube channel. Once you get a bunch of videos up, people say, hey, I really like what he's doing. I wonder if he has any other videos about something else like that. And maybe you do. And they watch a second, and they watch a third, and they watch a fourth, because it's all on demand now. But people can't watch a single thing that you do if you don't put it out there. If you don't put it out there. Now, the video that I did today talked about 2 types of people. Those that are cocky and those that are afraid. Those are the 2 types of people that are terrible on YouTube. Because if you're cocky, nobody likes to listen to a cocky person. Nobody likes to listen to a know-it-all. You don't, I don't. I'm the first one to admit I don't know much. But I do know this. I know that if you start now, share what you know and help others, other people will be helped. They'll never know it if you don't start. The other one is not the cocky, but the afraid. And the afraid person has never even started a YouTube channel because they're afraid of how they'll look. They're afraid of how they'll talk. They're afraid of stumbling and stammering. They're afraid of the editing process. They're afraid of the technology. Just give them a reason to be afraid, and they'll be afraid, and they'll never start. But that's not you. The idea that I'm getting at here is very simple. Your age doesn't matter. I believe God has something else for you. And it may be through a YouTube channel. It may be. But that might be something for you to think about. That's all I got for today. My name is Bill. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you tuning in and watching this after the fact. And other than that, you take care, and I'll see you soon. Oh, next scene.